Welcome back to Two Who's Review. I'm Alex.
I'm Fitz.
I'm Sam.
I'm back, bitches.
That's right, we have a couch of four once again. Hadley is here, and we are going to discuss Midnight today, the 10th episode of Series 4, and one that has gained a pretty stellar reputation in the fandom for just how different and out there it is. It's rare as well for us on the podcast that we review the sequel before we review the original. But there we go. Fitz, I'm going to go to you first because you've said a couple times that you don't think you've watched this episode all the way through before, or at least not in many, many, many years prior to watching it for this. So having now watched it through, what do you think of it?
Yeah, it was alright. I'm joking. Okay, no, I'll stop being a dickhead. Okay, so, yes, you're
You should always be yourself, Fitz.
Thank you. Thank you for that advice, Sam.
Wow.
So, you're correct. I'd actually never seen this episode before. I only realized it when I watched the full thing. I think I'd maybe seen clips of it, but I'd never sat down and, here's Midnight and whatnot. So I watched it. I've watched it twice now. I'm glad I did, because the second time I was, even more so than other Doctor Who episodes, I was able to pick up on some nuances that really made the experience richer that I might have missed, or maybe not missed, but underappreciated the first time around. My reaction to it, yes, I'm being facetious, but I will say it is really good. It's a really, really good episode. But I was expecting more, I guess. I can't 100% say what that more is yet, but I was expecting, one of the greatest Doctor Who experiences that I'd ever had. Now, I don't know whether maybe you hyped it up a bit too much, Carf. I don't entirely blame you for that, but
yeah, I was
anyway.
wondering if this is you're a victim of overhype, perhaps.
Yeah. One thing I do want to bring up right from the get-go, and I'll just put this out there, I'm not saying it's necessarily true, but do you folks think this story could have worked, I'm talking strictly in terms of plot, could it have worked without the Doctor?
No.
No.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Touche.
Because one of the big points of this story is that it takes the strengths of the Doctor and turns them into weaknesses.
Absolutely.
The Doctor's ability to take charge of a full room and to be the one coming up with everything when he's put in a situation where, one, he doesn't know everything, and B, when there's enough paranoia and fear that his taking charge is seen as inherently suspicious, and crucially, without a companion there to back him up.
Yep.
That's what makes this episode.
I understand that, but in terms of A to B to C, could it have theoretically been reached without the Doctor? I know that sounds kind of ludicrous because it's.
I have an argument against that, but it would take us getting to pretty heavy spoiler territory, and I don't think that's what we should open with.
Sure.
That's all right.
I mean, I'll just say the thing I usually say when you make this "could this have worked in X way" argument, Fitz.
Yeah.
Strictly speaking, yes. But it wouldn't be interesting, and we wouldn't want to do a podcast talking about it.
Indiana Jones be like.
Why? Yeah. Why would you do it in a less interesting way to be like, interesting that we can make this worse? Like, could you do a narrative of this kind of thing with just a bunch of fuckos in there? Yeah, I guess. But having the Doctor be there is what makes it interesting and worth telling. So
yeah, no,
that's why it's being told.
No, that's fair. I think for me, it probably does just go back to that overhyped symptom, where and it's probably mostly a me thing, but I didn't expect to think, oh, that's a little weird at the end of it. But yes, I think you are both entirely correct that yeah, you could have done it without the Doctor, but like, what would be the point? Like the whole, and not just because like obviously it's Doctor Who, but him being there does so much in terms of character and theme, even.
Alex and Sam, our mission tonight is to have Fitz walk back everything he just said, okay?
Hey, I already walked some of it back a little bit.
And we're going to keep going until we're done, okay?
You've already shown you have no conviction because you've backtracked in less than 5 minutes.
I
We
have
could get
a
you
lot of.
all the way back on the other side.
I have
It
a
is
lot
so
of
rare that
conviction,
this is a
man.
versus podcast.
Oh, I'm always on here to do a versus podcast, and I
Yeah, to
win.
be
I
fair-
won Fear Her, and I'll win this one too.
We will see.
We'll see. Yeah. No.
But
just
I will
like
say, regardless, yeah, it is still
Yeah.
a really, really good episode. Again, I think
Mm.
it's just. I thought, my God, is this going to be like a complete, like absolute 10 out of 10 that I'll never be able to deny? And the fact that it's like a super, super strong 9, maybe that's just getting to me.
Well, I think a huge
Okay, so we only
part
have to
of
convince him to go 1 point up. That's not a huge
Yeah, exactly.
effort on our part.
Let's
It's not
fucking
huge.
go.
I will say though that is often the hardest step to climb for a lot of media. Getting from a 9 to a 10 is arguably the hardest
Yeah, yeah.
part. I will say that like a huge part of what makes this episode so special is the fact that it, like I said, I mentioned earlier that it turns the Doctor's strengths into weaknesses, but it also does so many things that other Doctor Who episodes just don't. You know, like the fact that the monster remains unidentified by the end of the story is thoroughly unique and something that adds to the fear significantly. I'm so happy that the well didn't ruin that by identifying the midnight.
We'll get to the well. I
Yeah.
rewatched the well I rewatched it last night. We'll get to it. I have some thoughts.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, it doesn't identify the monster. It lets the Doctor be like it arguably puts the Doctor in a more dangerous position than he's ever been put in. Like if it weren't for a bit of clever, quick thinking, he would have been thrown out of the bus into an extonic sun, and that would have just killed him.
This is what I'm thinking as well. If you're in a situation where like you're always exposed to what's killing you, does the Doctor just regenerate over and over again?
The Doctor can be killed before regeneration.
Yeah.
It's
okay.
And it can, like if their body.
I think it's like
just
if they're killed hard enough, or if the regeneration is interrupted, then they're permadead.
Yes, I'm in and it's unsurprising because
that's what the whole thing when like Matt Smith's Doctor dies, and that whole like the astronaut at the lake shit was about.
In the story Arc of Infinity, which we've covered, the Time Lords unsurprisingly have a way to completely destroy Time Lords so that they can't regenerate, and they threaten the Doctor with that, particular piece of execution. So yes, it is certainly possible. If for example the Doctor was just tossed right into a burning sun, yeah, that's bye time.
That's the name of the finale. Bye time.
Oh, by the way, to stir shit a bit more, how are you folks going to react if I get to the end of the story and say that the well was better than this?
I mean, you might have Hadley disagree with you. I'll say that, like, for me, they're both really up there. I think this is better, but I think it just comes down to, like, their preference at the end of the day. Like, they're both very, very good. So...
Fitz, I know your address, okay? Just remember, I know your address. So be careful what you say. Just be careful what you say.
For me, ultimately, it just comes down to whether you prefer... Okay.
Sorry, my wife is talking shit about you. This is a professional podcast. Go away.
What, like 20 followers?
Okay.
No
We're all. What's
Yeah.
slander? What slander is your wife laying against me?
It's okay. They're going out. They won't bother us anymore.
I fucking out to the bitch.
Yep.
We don't often have an elusive
You've
fifth
got
guest
to
join us, so
Okay.
that's special.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like the Five Doctors. There's really only four of them. One of them's just there very briefly.
Yeah, for me,
dear.
I would say it just comes down to whether you prefer psychological horror or cosmic horror.
Well, in a
Do
way,
you
like,
prefer good writing or bad writing?
well, here's
Well,
the thing:
no.
they're both.
We should talk about Midnight more before we get to comparing it to The Well, but I will just say The Well isn't an episode I dislike, but it is an episode I dislike more and more over time.
Yep.
So eventually I will dislike it.
That's
Okay.
interesting. We'll come to that point eventually, though.
Yeah.
So yes, Midnight. Let's talk about the episode we're talking about.
Yes.
Like I said, like there's a huge psychological horror component to this story, as is pretty evident. The whole repetition thing is it's not something that I commonly associate with fear, but it is just like incredibly unnerving. And like, they take it to its well past its logical extreme in this story, and that combined with some really, really effective use of music and sound design, it turns what is easily one of the most low budget scares that the show has ever done into something that is like genuinely like this full of tension and gripping, and like you just can't like look away from it. It's just so well executed all round.
And it must be said that I've frequently said that one of my favorite parts about Doctor Who is how much ingenuity goes into the show for various reasons. Some of it beyond the creator's control, but this is probably one of the most ingenious episodes because of how minimalist it is, but how terrifying it is. And even better, it's terrifying because of the minimalism. The fact that we don't ever see what the Midnight creature is or where it comes from. The fact that we have to rely on the psychological intensity of the characters brought out by really, really good performances. It all just works to its favor. And there is, I wouldn't hesitate to say, I think there's genius in that, for sure.
So Midnight was the first Doctor Who episode I ever watched, and it's
Holy
why
shit.
it's why I'm coming on the podcast. I chose to review this episode like a year ago at this point, maybe even 2.
Yes, probably, yeah.
And I was trying to find something to watch with my wife, and I was just like, let's just rewatch the first Russell T Davies era of Doctor Who. And I came to a couple of conclusions. One, this is the best episode of Doctor Who. I'll be having no counter arguments. It is.
Well, too bad, because that's what we're here for, Hadley.
And that's a shame. Number 2, David Tennant is not my favorite Doctor. It's Christopher Eccleston. And a big reason is I find David Tennant a little annoying. I don't like his catchphrases. I don't like how arrogant he is. I don't like how arrogant he is. And this whole episode is about how much of an arsehole he is and how much that finally comes to bite him in the arse. And it is so good.
That's
like it like I said, it does do that. Like it just does. Like you see that arrogance like throughout. Like, I'm gonna pull back the curtain here a little bit, and she's not gonna like it, but my partner's in the room and she watched this episode with me. And when it got to the point where the Doctor was in, there are 6 Doctors here. When it got to the point when the Doctor was in the pilot's cabin with the pilot and the engineer or the mechanic or whoever, and the Doctor's trying to convince them to lift the glass and let the view go out, and the Doctor's there going, "Oh, come on, live a little." She turned to me and she said, "He's kind of scary."
Yeah.
And I just finished watching Jessica Jones, and
oh, he's so good in that.
I prefer that performance, and yeah, he's a great villain. Even I'll call to the devil herself, Harry Potter. He's pretty good in Harry Potter. He's got like 2
Yeah.
scenes, but he's
Yeah,
really
he's
funny.
got like 5 minutes of screen time.
Everyone should watch Jessica Jones for David Tennant alone. He's so good in that show.
Thinking it over, yeah, I do see what you mean, Hadley, about the arrogance coming through, because I think for me, it was easy to kind of get swept up in that. It's like, oh, okay, well, yeah, he's sort of bullying over these people, but he's the Doctor, he can do that, right? But then, certainly in hindsight, you realize, oh, well, he literally says, yeah, I'm clever, and he doesn't literally say it, but he's like, I'm smarter than all of you peasants.
He literally says, "I'm clever" when he's in the cockpit,
yeah,
and he's
yeah.
talking about the a diesel turbo engine, whatever, can't stabilize. It doesn't do that.
Yeah.
And there is a kind of a brilliance to it, I guess, because and maybe this goes back to what you said about why the Doctor, why he's in the story, the and also to what you said, Kelf, but like all of the things that just feel normal to a Doctor Who fan. Okay, he's fucking around with technology. He's doing some rousing speeches. He's trying to connect with these people, and he's also being, let's be clear, a voice of real moral authority. You realize, yeah, maybe that's not a very good thing. Sometimes these people certainly don't think so, and they've got kind of a point. He just showed up. They don't know who he is. And the fact that he seems to know more than they do, but not as much as the entity, I mean, what's going on there? It's quite... And part of the brilliance, I suppose, is that really small moments do have weight. Like the bit where he rips the console thing out of the wall. Again, this is stuff we've seen a million times in Doctor Who, but then not only is it brought back, but it's given more weight, way more weight than normal, because we're like, yeah, actually, if I was stuck on a bus heading to Oblivion, that'd be really, really weird. It's like, okay, this is a weird comparison.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, do you want
No,
to...
you finish, Fitz.
It reminds me, a weird comparison, but it reminds me of that scene in Death Note, for anyone who's seen it, where Light is sitting at the back of the bus and the bus is getting jacked, and he says to the FBI agent, oh yeah, no, I've seen this before. You've got like one person who stands at the front with the gun, and the person, their co-conspirator sitting at the back, but it's something like that, right? They don't know who this person is, and they don't know how dangerous he is, or how much he knows, or how little he knows. Like their point of view, it's not really justifiable, but it's way more justifiable than it could be. Let's put it that way.
And what's great is they initially love him. He turns off the shitty music and the light show, and when the train stops, he's talking to everyone. He's encouraging them to do a presentation about the Diamond Sapphire Fall. But as soon as it becomes convenient, as soon as they need a scapegoat, they turn on him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the other unexplored element. Well, unexplored by us at least. Is just the pure paranoia of the human condition. Like when you put 8 or 9 people in, maybe less, 7 or 8 people in a capsule, and you terrify them, you fear them, and then you present them with something that is completely unexplainable. You watch as they revert to the most base and primal human strategy, which is survive, deflect, do everything you can to get out of this alive.
I think one of the most interesting things about it is like making note of the ways in which they latch on. My favorite one is
actually.
when he's like, I'm just a traveler, and the wife goes, what, like an immigrant?
Like an immigrant,
oh, yeah. Fuck you, bitch.
But that is something else I noticed as well when watching it a second time. I'm like, okay, let's track the progress of these characters.
Yeah.
And the way that they all wind up getting aggressive and turning on each other, and especially the Doctor, but they do it in specific ways. The hostess gets frustrated and suggests we throw this person out.
And she's
I-
desperately trying to take control. It's not that
Yeah.
that she wants to survive.
Yeah.
This is her job.
Oh
and
yeah,
she
for
wants
sure.
to be the boss.
And you get the impression that being, you know, a hostess, maybe she feels frustrated at her job. She's kind of sort of
Because, like, I
dismissed
also-
by the other passengers. So by the end, you know, she wants that sense of control. The husband character, like, he tells that story about, oh, I didn't know that it was, you know, a figment of my imagination, the swimming pool, or whatever it was. So there's kind of he wants to not be made a fool. He wants to, you know, be the man of the situation. So that comes back to bite him. Even the professor and his relationship with Dee, the tension boils to a head at some point. And they had a really nice, pleasant relationship in the beginning.
Quick question: does anyone know who plays the professor?
Yeah,
Yep.
it's Pat Troughton's son, who's also in the Monster of Peladon.
Yeah, Peladon.
Yeah.
Your trivia holds no power here, Hadley.
No one brought it up yet. It was weird.
No,
Well,
he's
the
We
director,
haven't really talked about him yet.
The
the
director.
director. Yeah, you can go, Fitz.
Yeah.
Is no. I genuinely don't know. Are they related to Patrick Troughton in
They're
any
not.
way?
No, in no way.
Okay.
Yeah, no. I think we brought that up
Previously,
in
yeah.
Doctor's Daughter.
That's
Because I was like,
right,
it's
yeah.
disappointing that you have the Doctor's daughter, who is the Doctor's daughter, who is also the Doctor's daughter, da 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 da. But the episode is not actually directed by the Doctor's daughter. It's just someone who has the same name.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Yeah, but getting onto the supporting cast now, which is the thing where we're at. Like you said, it is really fascinating to watch the specific ways in which they are all unrivaled by this incident. You mentioned that the professor and Dee Dee had a pretty like chill like vibe beforehand, but he was actually kind of condescending to her throughout the entire thing. Like, he introduces himself to the doctor, she does the same thing, and he says, "Oh, don't interrupt the man. Don't."
No,
bother
yeah,
him."
that's true. No, I think he says it at least twice.
Yeah, but like it brings more out of him. I think more on a second watch, you really get that sort of controlling vibe from him.
Yeah.
And I think when you watch it the first time, you're just sort of like, oh, okay, this is some kind of quirk or affectation. But no, he's just fully
he's
condescending, maybe even jealous of his assistant for having such a brilliant mind.
And being a bit of a misogynist, let's be honest. But there's those, like, you are right. I think it seems like a slightly pleasant, or at least more pleasant than what it becomes, but all those little interactions are laying the groundwork. And another thing that should be mentioned, and this can't be said for frankly a lot of Doctor Who stories, but not a single cast member in this story seems wasted at all.
No.
I don't think, even if some, obviously have bigger roles than others, they all have something to say in terms of the way the plot tends to shift. They definitely have something to say, I think, in terms of theme. That's quite... And obviously it's easy because it's a small cast, but even then, that's quite an achievement.
I like
for a 45-minute story.
One of my favorite tropes is like the holiday archetypes. I just finished binging through White Lotus, and 2 years ago I wrote a 200,000 word novel about a whole group of holidayers, and you can come up with all these fun tropes. And this one was like, you got this guy who basically lives there, like he rides the bus all the time, and he knows everything about this planet. And you got the family who are just trying to find something to do, and the disengaged teenage son who's played by Merlin, who is not passing as a teenager, but you can tell that I just love that character because he's just taking the piss. Like, there's a woman who's like
the piss, but like, real quick, he's taking the piss, but he's also secretly the most like inquisitive and like like he's paying attention. He's like he's connecting the dots before the doctor is sometimes.
Besides the doctor, he's the one who notices shit the soonest out of everyone.
Yeah.
Is he the one
There's
who
such, there's such
notices
an
that?
interesting character affectation for him because it's fun to watch him sort of get ground down by the end when he starts to because he's correct the entire time, and then when it comes to the possession of the Doctor, he's wrong, and then all of a sudden he's like he's reduced to like a blubbering child when he's being yelled at by his parents. There's that psychological breakdown that's really
Yeah, that's
fascinating,
true.
and he goes along with helping throw the Doctor out of the bus. Like again, the
And-
breaking down of this character putting up such a tough, I'm just like an edgy teen persona, only to be like reduced to like a child, which is what he is. Like incredible.
Is he the first to notice that God damn it, I knew I'd forget her name. Mrs. Silvestri.
Sky, yeah.
Sky, yeah. Is he the first one to notice that she stops speaking?
I think
I
so.
think so.
Yeah, that one makes sense.
It's as soon as the backup power comes on.
Yeah.
He's definitely
Another-
the first to notice that she stops repeating and starts syncing up.
Yeah.
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 I love it's such an obvious thing to do, but I love the little bit of sound design where even we're on the other side of the train, you can just barely hear her talking at the same time as them while they're trying to argue over her.
Yeah. This is also
Yeah.
his second TV role ever.
Oh,
Jeez.
Really?
Yeah.
He's such a good actor. He's
So-
really good.
This was later. So this was 2008. Later that year, he would start doing Merlin, and before that, the only other TV role he'd had was appearing as the embarrassed gay son in sketches on the Catherine Tate Show Christmas special.
That sounds about right.
I thought he started Merlin before this, but anyway.
No.
Yeah, he probably would have been noticed from this, and then
Yeah.
went from
I would
that
say
on.
I would say the timeline probably he probably filmed this and then did Merlin, but he was probably filming Merlin before this episode actually came out.
That seems to make sense. That makes sense to me. Yeah.
If he was noticed for Merlin, it was exclusively as a behind the scenes thing.
Like a production crew
Yep.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Which
'cause
same studio. Well, not same
we
studio.
brought
but
up
it's the same
Alice
company.
Troughton earlier, and I couldn't remember. I feel like I remembered reading something that she was involved in Merlin, and that maybe that was the connection, but I can't seem
I
to
just
find anything
assume
indicating
that everything British is made by the same production company. Is that not the case?
I mean, these
No.
were both BBC
I mean,
productions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a
Well,
lot of
no-
stuff is BBC, but not everything.
but there are others. There's like ITV's another big one.
Mm.
Channel 4.
So Alice
Like
Troughton directed 13 episodes of Merlin, which is a quarter of the show's run.
Wow.
Yeah,
That explains a lot.
yeah, there's probably some connective tissue there.
Sure. It's Merlin's also BBC, isn't it? You said.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That explains it.
Can we
Anyway,
talk about
back to-
Sky's actress? Like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
She gets chills.
I watched at one point a brief, like maybe from Doctor Who Confidential, about like what went into her performance and the fact that she had to basically like just the amount of like concentration that would have had to go into saying all the stuff at the right time with the other actors and stuff. Like it's gripping. Like she is phenomenal in this role.
And what great range too, because you know, I don't know, you know, how predictable her transformation to the Midnight entity is from the beginning, but her performance and her character is another great way the story wrongfoots the audience.
Yeah.
Because she is, you know, obviously completely different. And the fact that she also does a kind of more tempered version of the Midnight entity after they think, oh, it's okay, it's all cool, she's been let go, and, you know.
Well, the thing I like about that is, like, it seems like it's acting badly on purpose.
There's
Like,
a couple of
Yeah.
Yeah, it let me go. it went
Yeah.
into him and now I'm fine. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't think that's the Midnight Entity being bad at being convincing. It's just being really smug about how they're all
Yeah. Oh, for
completely
sure.
convinced. And it's like,
Yeah.
yep, it's
Yeah, I
him.
agree.
You better kill
See,
him now.
Yeah, I
There's-
I'm
agree.
totally fine.
there's a couple of explanations there, and yeah, I do like both of those. There's also just the possibility that like she's still learning how to be a person, essentially,
Yeah.
because this is her first time
Yeah.
making her own words.
But at the very least, there's a lot of layers there.
Yeah, yeah.
And
And that's
it's
what
brought out.
I really like as well. The Doctor, despite how evil she looks, he tries to empathize with her. He's like, "You don't need to steal people's voices. We can give you a
Yeah.
voice in a form.
Yeah.
Let me help you." And that ends up biting his ass as well because
Well, again, yeah, that's
okay,
part of
he's the
that.
leader. I'll take him. Thank you.
Yeah. And that's the great, like, even his compassion, which is such an important part of the Doctor, that gets turned against him. And
Yeah.
also, it shows how frightening and powerful the Midnight Entity is, because if it can take over a Time Lord,
Yeah.
you know, that's quite terrifying. Especially one like the Doctor who's got so much knowledge, who I'm pretty sure. Yeah, there must be instances where the Doctor's resisted like mind control and psychic interference before. So yeah, that's
Or being turned into an androgen.
well, he didn't
So
really
that's it. I mean,
resist that.
the Midnight Entity and Andrograms are on the same tier level in terms of power.
No, it's
It's
not. It's not.
Midnight versus the two Doctors. They're
It's
both
not
a lot
specifically
bigger.
Androgen.
Let's please not stop power scaling Doctor Who. We will be here all day.
It's not. It's not specifically the Andrograms. It's Dastari and his weird technology that does it.
That's true.
But
Yeah.
yes.
Well, I mean, if we want to get
Any-
really specific, we also have to consider that the Doctor is technically not a Time Lord. They are the Timeless Child, which is
Yeah.
a different.
God,
Okay. Let's talk about anything else. Apparently, according to
Good
according to
work.
Russell T Davies, the reason that Sky Silvestri was going to the waterfall in the first place, which she was planning to jump out.
Oh.
Oh
Yeah.
God.
And she got a wish.
She well, I guess.
Like okay. Wow. Okay. That's
It's
grim.
pretty bleak.
Yeah.
I mean, we get
Well,
a
'cause-
decent amount of her
And
backstory.
that plays into what I think is like one of the most fucked up, unexplained things is what makes her think it's coming for her specifically, and how right is she?
She wanted it to come for her.
Yeah, maybe there's like a weird fatalism to it that she.
There's
Yeah.
probably something in
I mean,
there.
because like logistically, she could not have possibly known that thing was there.
No.
She can hear the
But-
knocking at least.
She can hear the
No, I
knocking.
mean like before getting on the bus.
Yeah.
She didn't. She wasn't like, I know that this is going to be diverted onto a different track and encounter something that's never been encountered before ever in the history of anything that's ever been recorded. But like, as soon as something happens, she's just like, it's for me. It's for me. It's coming for me.
Well, I think it's
Well,
because
yeah,
of that.
I mean-
Like, she's clearly got a big, like, deep, like, huge amount of fear relating to her ex and what she was going to do. Because there's that brief line before the Midnight Entity really focuses in on Sky, where she just says it, and then no one focuses on it. It's like gone immediately. She says something like, "She said she'd get me."
Yeah.
So, like, there's obviously something that's been, like, festering inside of Sky
Yeah.
Silvestri for a long time. This thing that has been, like, just completely taking over her mental health. And, yeah, like,
It's almost like you
God.
certainly after her breakup, you get the impression that she's obviously feeling very lonely. You wonder whether the Midnight Entity didn't attach to that as well. It's like, I don't know. There's a weird craving for a connection, I suppose. A sense of emotional vulnerability at the very least, and the Midnight Entity exploits that.
Well,
Yeah.
I think even setting aside the mental like health of the people in particular, I think it does clearly, like, it's aware enough to single out easy targets.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm.
Just
Because
like any predator.
its whole thing is turning everyone against each other. So, like, because I think the reason it attaches to the Doctor is not that he's the smartest or the most powerful. It's the fact that everyone is already starting to turn on him.
Mm.
So it's
Yeah.
like, good, easy, can get rid of him, no problem. Because everyone already doesn't like him. And similarly, Sky is also the most loner out of everyone else. Like everyone else, like the professor and the family and the doctor and
Yeah.
his assistant, like they're all like chatty as a group. And then
Yeah.
Sky has just had a one-on-one conversation with the doctor, and as far as we know, that's it.
And she
So
does, yeah, and
it's
she
able to go
also
like, she's the loner, she's gonna be the easiest one to isolate and have everyone turn against her.
Yeah.
apart
And
from
what's great is the Midnight Entity, you don't know why it's doing this, but you know what it's trying to get to. It wants to
Yeah.
get to civilization and spread.
yeah, it's well, the thing with Sky as well is apart from no, not even that. She's like the only person on that ship that doesn't have a connection to at least one other person there, like a pre-established one.
Yeah.
Because I thought, oh well, that would also technically count for the hostess, but that's not true because she presumably knows the
The
captain and the
professor,
engineer.
because the professor's always on these tours, so he would
That's
know
true,
her.
yeah.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Which makes the fact that the professor doesn't know her name even worse.
That line, it's
Well, I
haunted
mean,
me since a child. Does anyone
I mean,
know her
like
name?
that
Yeah.
line is fucked up, and it's
Yes.
like that's the moment where the Doctor is really like, fuck all you people. Because like like there's the bit where immediately after she and Sky get sucked out, and the fucking bitch immigrant hating, probably a turf, is like, I always knew it was her, and he just looks at her like, I think, like, he gives her this look. It was just like, if I had a gun and it was you, me, and Davros in a room, I would
I'd shoot you
waive
twice.
my no guns rule for you in this
I would
moment.
shoot you twice. No, what you do is you line her up and Davros side by side, and you shoot him in the head, and it goes through both of them at the same time.
Oh, good lord.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Hadley. Sam. According to Sam, that show's not funny. So shame on you.
Oh, no.
I don't even know what show you're talking about.
The
The
Office.
Office.
The Office.
I don't think I've ever said The Office isn't funny. I've just said
I don't
I've never
recall you
watched
saying
it,
that.
never cared to.
Yeah, okay, well, there you go.
Maybe it was just that one time we were talking about Kevin's chili, Sam.
Maybe. Well, we're talking about Val now.
Mm.
I think even Russell T Davies said that, like, she's the one that you're meant to hate the most, just because of, like, I think everyone else on the ship is a character archetype. Val is someone that everyone knows.
Yeah. And even the way she treats her son, there's something so annoying and unpleasant about that. Like, everybody has been snapped at like that by an adult, and they know that it's, like,
Yeah.
either not their fault or they need to be listened to more. It just... It really gets you.
Yeah. It's like,
I think.
like slightly upper middle class person who thinks because that's as good as they've got that they're better than everyone else. Like that kind of mentality.
Can we stop talking about my mum now, please?
Well, she shouldn't have been in the episode, Hadley.
Yeah, like, it's pretty clear that Biff and Val don't have a very good marriage deep down.
Mhm.
Like, there's so much resentment that comes out in this encounter where she just at the drop of a hat, when he's like, well, maybe I will throw him out, and she's like, oh, you're useless, and he's like, okay, then I'm gonna throw him out then. Like, there's so much you can read into with that. And I
And
also
there's, like, this-
there's an acting choice that she makes at a certain point, and she does a great job. I'm sure she's a
Mm.
lovely person in real life.
Mm.
But there's a moment where she chimes in. It's when they start to all gang up on the doctor. She says something like, "Who put you in charge?" And then the frame lingers on her before it moves on to the next person speaking. And she does this thing where she kind of like lowers her head and sort of steps back as if she's like getting ready to hide behind her husband again.
Mm.
And
And
it's
there's
like,
this
oh,
added-
it's detestable.
There's this added stress where
Yeah.
her son's he's this teenager with this genetic disorder where he looks 10 years older, which can't be helping.
He was only 22. I also think that it's something so very like right at the end when they're talking about what's happening with the doctor, and she says she's adamant anyway that she watched the entity pass from Guy into the doctor, and some other people are like, "Yeah, I saw it too. I saw it too." And that's just like it's the things that we can convince ourselves of. And like Dee Dee says later
It's the
on,
glass
that
onion.
she saw. Well, yeah, Dee Dee says that she saw the Sky steal the doctor's voice, which also couldn't have happened. Like they've both just convinced themselves of these things because it's very convenient to have seen it, you know.
But it's also interesting that earlier on the engineer says, "Yeah, I can see something running towards the ship. We can't see anything," but there's always that suggestion of how much of this is them becoming delusional and suffering from almost like a mass hysteria, really, or how much it is it the midnight entity actually playing tricks on them, or how much is it the midnight entity actually doing things.
Man, it'd really take the wind out of the sails if we did see it at one point.
Yeah, that would suck.
Oh.
By the way,
we'll get there. We'll get there.
Oh, right. That's what happened in the well, isn't it?
Yes.
You don't see it like fully. You get like a couple of frames of it as it moves back behind. I forget her name, the deaf character.
Yeah.
Alice.
Yeah.
Yeah, Alice. Yeah.
I was just reminded of something. There's an episode of The Twilight Zone that has similar themes to this. It's called The Monsters Are Due on Maple Street, and it's about a small street in a typical American suburban town in the 60s. And weird things start happening, the technology starts to get fucky, and the lights turn off and on, and I think there's like almost like a telekinetic thing where things move, and anyway, all the townsfolk in their Cold War paranoia turn on each other, and there's an interesting montage of very sort of Euroslin looking tilted camera angles where they're all yelling at each other saying, it's over there, it's the Mason place, no, it's the kid, I tell you. And then it pulls back and it turns out that it's two aliens in a spaceship conducting an experiment onto Earth, and one of them says, "See, this is all it takes to destroy them. Fuck around with their technology a little bit, make them a little suspicious, and they'll crumble." Similar things here.
It's interesting that you went there because in my head, I found it very interesting that we were watching this episode after, like, by the time of recording a few days ago, we all went to see Iron Lung together. And I remember thinking, okay, so it's all the action is mostly set in one metal container. Yeah, there's an unknown monster that we don't know the clear origins of. It fucks with people's heads. Like it's ironically very similar.
Yeah, a little bit. I guess the Twilight Zone made a bigger impression on me than Iron Lung did, I suppose. Although it was pretty good.
It was also like 3 days ago that we saw it.
Anyway, yeah, it's just interesting. And it kind of goes back to what we've sort of said earlier. Because I'd watched this, and I think part of me was wondering, well, is the reason why I'm not as completely blown away by this episode, is it because I've watched something like The Monsters Are Due on Maple Street? And it came earlier and all of this. But, as you folks have pointed out, that's why having the Doctor in it makes it so unique. Because I'm sure there are a lot of other stories where people, succumb to cabin fever, and there's weird
I read The
paranormal
Mist
stuff.
today by Stephen King. It's the exact same
Hmm.
premise. People get stuck in a shopping mall. This one religious lady drives them all crazy because there's a bunch of monsters trying to attack them. It's a very classic archetype, and I don't think it's a solid argument to call it derivative. It's just that, some stories work really well, and it was Doctor Who's time to take a crack at this type of story.
I'm not saying it's derivative. I'm just saying that it's been. I wondered whether it had been done better. That doesn't necessarily mean it's derivative, because the fact is,
Sure.
there's only so many times you can tell a story before it becomes old hat. And you're right. I think if you're going to do it, doing it with Doctor Who is actually a really good
Yeah.
way to do
better
it.
is relative.
It is.
That's true.
Better by what metric?
Tell us, Fitz. You have to tell us right now. Do it.
From whose perspective, so like.
I liked. I know none of you. I assume none of you watched a good deal of the Twilight Zone or that particular episode, but I like the sense of paranoia, and I also watched it when I was a kid before I watched this, so maybe there's something going on there. But the point is, as you folks have pointed out, compared to other stories, the unique factor in this is the Doctor. Like, you wouldn't, like, you I think you pointed out saying you could tell the story theoretically without him. You could get from A to B to C, but it would just be fairly standard.
Why would you want to?
Yeah, cabin fever story in a space bus thing. So yeah, I think even if it doesn't, even if that ending left me questioning, well, how significant was the Doctor in it? You couldn't tell this story without him. Like, as you said, why would you want to? He does so much for characterization and richness of theme, and challenging the audience. Even if you hadn't seen a lot of Doctor Who, it's really the fact that he goes from one position to the other in terms of vulnerability is quite shocking.
So here's my counterpoint, my smoking gun, if you will. When they're all about to throw the Doctor out the train, and the hostess is insisting that it's not him, it's her. There's a moment where it clicks for her, where she's certain that's what's happened, and it's caused the midnight entity. Can you wait, Jesus?
Sorry, Hadley. I'm so sorry.
I let you talk for like 2 minutes. Can I have a thing, please?
I'm sorry.
The Twilight Zone of all things.
Yeah, come
sorry,
on.
Hadley,
what the
You can
fuck?
talk Star Trek.
I get yelled at anytime I bring up Star Trek, but Fitz can go on a 10-minute tangent about a Twilight
Yeah,
Zone.
the difference is these tangents aren't a pattern for Fitz.
Okay, so
please continue,
anyway,
yeah,
my
please
point
continue,
that it's very fresh. No one's thought of this. This hasn't come up in this episode before. Was that she says molto bene and Alonsi, which the hostess recognizes as the stupid fucking European bullshit he was saying at the start. And if she stole anyone else's voice, no one would be able to tell, because no one else has the stupid bullshit catchphrases that David Tennant's Doctor does. So that's why I think you cannot tell this story without the Doctor, and specifically, you cannot tell it without the 10th Doctor.
Yeah, that's fair. I'd thought about that myself, actually. I planned to bring it up.
Oh yeah, you almost did. And I stopped you.
Thank you for that.
Wow.
It's like
sorry, I'm really heated right now.
Hadley.
I'm really heated. Oh, I need water. Jesus. I'm so pissed off.
Hot.
I'm sorry, Hadley.
Don't worry, Hadley. I know what'll calm you down. Let's start the part of the podcast where we talk about comparing this to The Well.
Oh, no! Oh. So here's my thesis.
Okay.
And then we're going to get into...
Before you begin, we both gave the episode of The Well a 9, me and Fitz, when we recorded our first
I'll bring it
review of
down.
it. So,
I'll bring it down. It's okay.
That's not the metric that we've set for this podcast, but by
I'll
all
bring
means,
it down
go ahead.
spiritually. So
okay. If I may, Hadley.
Okay, fine.
I'll just brief, because I'm just I feel like you have a whole essay in you, and I want to
Yep.
hear it. But
Yep.
I'll just briefly give my thoughts on why my opinion of The Well has soured over time, which I assume will be reflected in what you have to say. But for me, the main thing is that the more I think about what happens in the episode and what it does, that thing is midnight in name only. It doesn't
Yep.
do anything consistently in one setting to versus the other. So saying it's the midnight entity, you may as well be like, oh, see that guy in a suit who's going around karate chopping? That's actually a Dalek. Isn't that interesting?
I mean, before we get into anything specific,
Oh,
yes, it behaves differently, but Midnight is set in the 27th century. The Well is set in the 5020th century. That thing
Yeah,
has had so much time to adapt and change.
but isn't that
Especially
kind of
since the entire
Sure.
planet has been mined by this point as well. It went from having zero interaction with humans to being able to observe them for a long time as they were mining its planet dry. It's allowed to be different, I think.
yeah, but isn't that kind of a? Could you argue that's kind of a sort of retcon cop out?
yes, you
No,
could.
because
Yes, you
I would
could.
argue that.
it can't be a retcon if it's like an
Look,
addition.
if the
If it
midnight
changes
entity
something
was a
about it.
real creature and we observed a change in its behavior over that amount of time in real life, yeah, that would be a justifiable thing. But like it's an episode of a TV show that's like, look, we brought this old villain back from this beloved episode, and it doesn't do anything or feel the same. Like it's called Midnight for lip service. I think if it was a completely self-contained thing, and it was just this is just like a weird fucked up creature that has some surface level similarities still, I guess, in that it does the just in the corner of your eye shit, but like instead of repeating and turning people against each other, it just flings people against a fucking wall.
Very non-violent
If it
way
was
as well.
yeah, if it was just a new creature, I would my opinion of the Well would not have gotten worse over time. But because it is supposed to be the same creature, and it just doesn't feel like it in a way that makes sense, like thematically, not logistically, I don't like it as much as I did after the initial wow factor wore off.
That's a
Hadley,
good point.
please
Yes, please.
expand.
Okay, so Russell T Davies wanted to turn the Midnight Entity into the Weeping Angels. So he had this whole thing where it's like, we need a new popular monster that people recognize. People like Midnight. There's not a lot we know about it, so it's very easy to build off of. And from there, we get the Well. So my core issue going in, there's just something so obvious to me, and I don't know why no one thought of it. You have a monster that steals people's voices, and the main character is someone that only communicates with sign language, and you do nothing with that.
Mm.
And okay, so let's say, all right, fine, you want to go with this stupid midnight clock thing. First of all, that's dumb. It's not called midnight because it's a clock. It's called midnight because that's what the planet's called. It's just like, okay, whatever. But if you have a monster that it kills you when you're behind the person it possesses, okay, so the person it's possessed is a deaf girl who can only communicate with you if she watches you sign or reads your lips. She can't do that when you're behind her. And again, you do nothing with that. You establish at the start that the monster can make them crazy. We see this, all these corpses lying around, they've shot each other. Can anyone name a single time in the episode where we actually see it do that?
Yes.
Okay, when?
the entire crew mutinies against the creature. Like it's not implied that the creature like literally gets into like in at least in the depiction in the well. It's not implied that what it does is like literally get inside their head and start making them turn on each other. No, that's just the paranoia of like as we see in the story, right? The Alice, someone gets behind Alice, and then the whole thing goes up. They literally see something move behind Alice, and they all train their guns on her immediately. That's just like that is in essence showing us what happened on this base when there were hundreds and hundreds of people around. It's just now that there's 10, it's happening a lot less.
Okay, that's fine. My next problem. I'm drawing a blank now. No, my next problem is so the main cast of Midnight. You can name them all. You can tell me their defined traits. You can't do that with the Well. Alice, here's her character traits. She's deaf. She's scared. She has a daughter. The main military woman, she grew up in the Badlands. And she's always known war. And she's a really good shot. That's all we know about her. And there's this other guy who just wants to shoot everything. And that's all we know about this cast.
It's a lot more expandable, and like I said, I think that is just by the nature of the fact that this is cosmic horror instead of psychological horror. With psychological horror, you kind of need like a full analysis of who your supporting cast are for it to have any effect.
I mean,
Granted,
I would argue
you should do that in
Midnight
most
is
episodes
also
anyway.
cosmic horror.
I mean, yes,
Yeah,
but it
I
definitely
would
leans
too.
way
It's
more into
both.
psychological. But yeah, but it's that's more of the focus compared to the Well, is my point.
Well, maybe that's part of it, that the Midnight can or has the ability to explore both elements, whereas the Well only has the narrative strength to explore one, to the point where the characters just aren't as rich in the Well as they are in Midnight.
I don't know,
Yeah.
because to me, cosmic horror is about the inability to comprehend something, and that doesn't mean I literally can't see it because it's hiding behind someone. That means
Yeah,
what this thing is on such another level that my brain can't conceive of the concepts that it follows in its existence. And I just don't get that from the Well.
That's
Yeah.
fair. I mean, I was
The
using
Yeah, I
that
Well,
think
more
that's
of
fair.
the Well to me is more like poltergeist horror.
Yeah.
It's like it's a paranormal activity, and that's not to say that can't be a good thing or can't be done well. I think again, like I say, if you divorce it from the pre-established stuff about Midnight, I think that stuff is fine. I do agree with you, Hadley. There's a lot of stuff you can do with Alice being deaf that just doesn't happen, and that's disappointing, even setting aside the Midnight connection. But yeah.
My next problem, we're gonna it's a list. We're gonna keep going. So
How many more are
next, I don't know, not many. It's little things. I think they'll
Sure.
come up The rest of them should come up just naturally as we talk about the episode. Hopefully.
Sure.
My next problem is, it's something that Sam brought up is that the one connection between the Midnight entity here and in Midnight is the blink and you miss it corner of the ideal. I don't think that's true. I think the reason why you don't see the Midnight entity in Midnight is completely incidental. You're on a planet where you can only see the outside for a couple of minutes max, so they only get a glimpse of it. It's not because it has magic imperceptibility powers, which the Well wants to establish.
Like if there was a shot of the episode Midnight of the truck, like if the camera looked at the truck from the outside while the knocking was happening, we just see like a weird fucked up guy knocking
Yeah.
on it, and then whatever happens, it turns into energy or something, or maybe its physical body is outside the whole time and it's just like fucking psychically projecting into sky or some shit.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't know, and that's why it's scary.
My next point, I guess, world building. Midnight is great because it's like trying to replicate Earth culture, but completely misunderstanding it. Kind of like Futurama does those gags all the time. It's like, here's some classic music, and it's just the worst fucking music you've ever heard. And they're putting on 1940s Fleischer cartoons, and there's these ugly paintings being projected everywhere. The world building in this is okay, so it's legally required for nurses to know sign language, but also this is still a culture where people are paranoid by sign language. I know two things about this culture, and they contradict each other.
There are similar contradictory things in our world where certain things are required and other people don't like those things.
Or don't bother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like just something more, and that's also another issue with this episode is it's just so much in service to setting up like the overarching plot. Like, how many times do they mention that Earth is gone, and then Mrs. Flood shows up in the end? All Midnight does is it shows a brief shot of Rose on the television screaming at the doctor, and that's all it needs to do.
I would argue it doesn't need to do that. Like, I think that's a very distracting moment in the episode when the camera lingers on that for a bit long and goes,
Okay.
see, and that's not even putting aside the Rose thing. Like, we already know, like, what the thing it actually does to set up the
I've woken a
series
sleeping
arc.
giant.
Yeah,
The thing it actually does to set up the series arc is it mentions the Lost Moon of Poosh, which gets brought back in the thing.
Say that
Rose comes
that
back
was
in the
enough.
very next episode. You don't need Rose in this.
Yeah.
Okay, that Moon of Push thing I actually didn't know. It's again,
Me
it's
neither.
so I've seen this episodes,
Yeah.
but fair enough.
the
Yeah,
whole
no,
point of
sorry,
the,
I was just having
It's one of the stolen planets, like how
Yeah.
Pyrophilia went missing and the Adipose homeworld, breeding world, or whatever it was, went missing. So it's just another one of those breadcrumbs.
Exactly. Yeah.
And to
That
be
said,
fair,
I will not defend the Mrs. Flood stuff in series 15. Like, that's
no.
pretty aggravating. Like, that's fair enough.
And to be fair, Cuff, I was just trying to take the shit out of you for a little bit.
I know, I'm aware. Yeah. I wasn't getting angry at you. I wasn't even getting angry. I was just trying to like get my point across.
Okay.
And
do you have
on
any
your
other-
point that on your point that like the Midnight entity has evolved. I mean, I think there's something to that they just don't have the time or the willingness to explore, which is like this is an entity that lives on the surface of a planet orbiting an extonic sun, which shouldn't be allowed to happen. It reminds me of the mushrooms in Chernobyl that feed off of radiation. What happens to this creature when what I assume is its source of food disappears?
Yeah.
It goes underground. Okay. And then what I love about Midnight is it's like a chance encounter. They take a detour because there's a diamond fall. And this, it's the trope of we dug too deep. We discovered something that we shouldn't have.
I mean, that's arguably the same thing. And like in terms of it, I don't mean to refute. Like I agree with some of your points, Hadley. So I don't think I'm just like I'm staunchly taking the against stance as opposed to a pro. But like, if your sun burns out of radiation, the planet's been irradiated for so long. Go down, get the radiation that's in the core, like, or not even the core, but just in the soil. Like that makes sense to me.
I don't know if you need to go to like you need to dig that deep down. I think you could stay just at the surface.
Well, at a certain point, the surface radiation would fade, but that might not necessarily be true the deeper down you go. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I'm not going to fully claim that what I'm saying is accurate, but like in terms of what I know to be true about radiation, I can reason it away in a sci-fi world.
And the miner screaming at the TV, "We don't know what this thing is," was comically just like over the top. Like, get it, guys? We're doing Eldritch horror. It's the thing that cannot be named or described. Ooh.
Like even just little stuff. Like if the people who did get a glimpse of it, they were the ones who started freaking out and going crazy first. Like that's something at least. But it's just like it's just the same paranoia as in Midnight, but less personal. And everyone has guns. So the stakes are less interesting.
Alien versus aliens.
Hey,
Yeah,
no,
but
what are you talking
Aliens
about?
is good.
What are you
I think
talking
the well
about,
is good,
Sam?
but that's fine.
They've got guns, Sam. The
Yeah,
stakes
like I
are
say,
obviously higher because they can
I
shoot
think
the
the
guns.
well is good. I won't one day, but for now, I still think it's fine.
Yeah, I'd
Sure.
have to watch it again to really be sure of it. I do wonder, Tuff, if at some point, and I know you said it's
Yeah.
not really in the purview of this show, but I wonder if we could do an episode where we look at some of the episodes we've already reviewed and think, well, was that score really that good? Do we want to change that a little bit?
I mean,
Because
we're
I've had moments
yeah.
where I've
Look,
thought,
we're gonna be coming up on 5 years of the podcast pretty soon. That might be a good 5-year anniversary thing to be like, hey, do we agree with ourselves from the past? Let's
I mean,
talk
sorry.
we're
about
not
that.
far off the end of RTD. That's probably a good place
That's a good
to
enough time as any. Yeah.
look
I'm
back.
sorry,
And
what was that, about 5 years? Jesus fucking Christ.
It's been almost 5 years now.
Also, speaking of Fitz takes, hey Fitz, what do you think would happen in this episode if they took the Doctor out? Does he need to be there?
Oh my
Well,
god.
well, okay, first off, I would like to say, completely off topic, I apologize for interrupting you, Hadley. It's a problem I've often
It's
had.
fine. Fitz, it was a bit. Please, it's fine. I promise. I was fake
Oh,
angry at you. We're
okay,
chill.
I
We're
couldn't.
chill.
Okay, I couldn't tell. Anyway,
now I'm
It
real
was-
angry because you didn't understand it was a bit.
I will say, Hadley, it was
Take that
pretty convincing.
100% seriously. I'm more mad than I've ever been.
That's
I
less
was more
convincing.
like my genuine reaction. I was taken aback, and then I played along with it.
Yeah.
touche. That makes sense. As for your question, well, if the Doctor wasn't there, I still think you could have gotten to the point where somebody on that ship made a sacrifice play and got the Midnight
Absolutely.
Entity out
Absolutely.
of the situation. So in the strictest logical sense, yes, you could, as I said earlier, you could get from A to B to C. And maybe that's what was impacting my viewing of it, because I'm thinking like, oh yeah, this is going to have like the absolute perfect plot that I'm never going to be able to criticize or think over again. And, you know, I had to think over it again. But you could not have done this story in terms of character, and you certainly couldn't have done it in terms of theme without the Doctor, because it's through him and his kind of antagonism, really, to the other characters that brings out all those tensions. I mean, how can I put this? The Midnight Entity sort of lit the fuse, I guess, but the Doctor was the catalyst to make it all start exploding, I guess. And you wonder whether or not that was actually part of the Midnight Entity's plan, when it realizes, oh, here's this arrogant little, you know what? Let's exploit that, because no one likes him.
Well, again, a really simple idea that, again, I don't know why they didn't do this. I don't know what Russell T Davies is thinking when he writes episodes like this, but you have Midnight, where the Doctor knows nothing about this entity and is trying to learn what it's doing. Then you have the Well. He's fought this thing before. He knows its play. So what's it going to do differently? How is he going to use his previous knowledge and apply it to this new fight? And again, nothing really comes of it.
Doesn't act like it did last time.
Nope.
It's like, well, I know what this is, but it's not doing anything that it did the first time. So, like, I don't really have anything to contribute.
I
Actually,
think there's probably also some genuine PTSD going on. Like, he's doing his best
I
to
mean,
hide
yeah,
it. But,
sure. Like,
it's the only thing, one of the only things in the entire universe that has ever affected him to this degree. Like,
And
we
he
haven't
cries
discussed
when
it
he
with
sees it.
Yeah,
He's in
Yeah.
tears,
well,
which
the
is very
shitty gut
unique
look
for
cries
this
to the drop of a
doctor.
hat. Yeah, I know, but the ending of this episode, when he and Donna reunite at the Leisure Palace, and they do the whole thing with the Doctor does a little thing, and then the companion repeats it, and the Doctor says, "No, don't do that." It's happened with all the other companions in the RTD era with David Tennant. Rose speaking Scottish, Martha speaking Shakespearean, Donna speaking Latin, I think. Oh no,
Mm.
it was proper English in the fucking Unicorn and the Wasp.
No, it
But
was
it
Latin
takes on a
in Fires
whole.
of Pompeii as well.
It was on Fires Pompeii as well. Okay. But it takes on a new form here because it's not just the Doctor saying, "Ish, that's you're not good at that." It's the Doctor saying, "Please do not repeat me.
Yeah.
I have genuine
Yeah.
trauma from this incident," and
Yeah.
you can
It's not-
see
Yeah.
it stays with him. It's such
It's not just,
it's the perfect way to end the episode.
It goes from "Ooh, companion, stop being cringe" to
Yeah.
I'm having some flashbacks. I'm gonna need to sit down for a few
Jeez,
minutes.
negative Reddit karma for you.
Another
Um,
thing, I'm gonna keep harping on the well. There's there's a little exchange at the start where he calls the evil soldier babes, and he's like, "It's not appropriate to call people babes." It doesn't come back again. That's just a little exchange where you can establish characterization. Again, you do nothing with it.
Instead of set up the antagonism between those characters.
Yeah, but that's like a basic
Like-
thing.
Yeah,
It is
I
basic,
agree.
but
You
like
could do
it's allowed
something
to.
with it,
It's
but I
allowed
don't
to be
think
basic.
you have to.
Yeah, again, like not everything is there to be set up as something important for the rest of the story.
Something needs to be.
No, yeah, I agree. There's not enough stuff that gets built on in an interesting way. But like, if that was the only thing that did, I would still be like, that's not enough.
Yeah, and like, okay, so
Yeah.
yes, it establishes the antagonization not in a very specific or interesting way. The reason why the soldier is mad at him because the doctor is being unprofessional and a little, a little haha, when totally not gay, and he's uncomfortable about that. And then the rest of it is that they're arguing because they have an ideological disagreement of what we need to do in this situation.
Yeah.
Which arguably stems from that professionalism, but fair enough. Like,
Oh,
I'm not going to defend that character. That character is the reason I didn't give the well a 10 in the first place. Like that trope, that walking trope of a character who's only there to be antagonistic and defy the Doctor. Like, I don't think it's a good character at all. But yeah. Are we just about done talking about Midnight? Because I think we've covered pretty much all of it.
Well, does Hadley
Yep.
still want to
Yeah.
talk about the well?
no, I'm good, guys. I'm all out.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm all good.
So in terms of scoring, here's what I'll say about Midnight. I think that this is by maybe not by a huge margin, but it's clearly the best script that RTD has ever written for Doctor Who. I think that it's his crowning achievement. Me personally, I think that there are better stories than this. I could give it to Human Nature on a good day. I could give it to Heaven Sent on a good day. But that doesn't change the fact that for me, Midnight is an absolute 10 out of 10 episode.
Yeah, I'm basically there with you and Hadley and Cuff. It's not my favorite, but push come to shove, I would probably call this the best episode.
Which means it gets a 10 from you?
Yeah.
Hadley? Do I have to
Yes.
ask?
It's a 10, and the well gets a 4, and you're going to add it to the score list. I gave the well a 4. You're adding it, aren't you, Alex? Please.
Sure. Yeah,
Tank
I'll
that
write
out.
it down.
Yay! The well gets a 4.
It's definitely there, and I am the only one with viewing permissions on this document. So take my word for it.
You know what? I'll
It's-
give the well this. I had a very strong reaction to it, and I can't say that about the next episode we're going to be talking about.
Wow. Okay. Fitz, what are you going to give Midnight?
I think I'm still going to give it a 9.
Wow.
Boo!
No. It's not quite for the reason you think, though. I think it It might go back to something that Cuff once said about 9s and 10s, which is that 10s are the ones that sort of hit you where you live. And I think, for me, purely because it's not doing that tiny little bit extra in terms of maybe the things that I like in a story, which I realize is a bit of a very personal way of looking at it, because it's not a Davros is in the story or a Dalek. For me, I think I would have to put it just like a really, really strong 9. But certainly one of the most innovative episodes possibly in the show's history. So,
Well, you'll be happy to know, Hadley, that with our average scores, this is the second highest rated episode we've done on the podcast so far. The first being Human Nature. So it's in good company.
Nice. I found it a bit overacted in Human Nature. That's like my one problem with it.
That's fair enough. The
Also,
third highest rated
bear in
is
mind-
the third highest rated is Dalek, in which I was the Fitz and gave it a 9, whereas
Yeah.
Sam and
Dalek's
Fitz
my
gave it a
favorite
10.
Eccleston episode, easily.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dalek's really
That's
good.
fair enough.
I will
Yeah,
say
that's easy.
this may only be the second highest rated, but that is across twice as
4
many people giving scores as Human Nature,
Hmm.
Yeah,
which
that's also true.
I would say accounts for more, personally.
that's fair enough. Yeah.
It's a larger sample size.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Sure.
Um,
Hadley,
so yes,
you'll be on next week, but do you have anything to plug before then?
yeah.
Not really.
Great.
We haven't uploaded in a bit, and Jared keeps brushing me off when I try to make plans for recording. So maybe next time I can plug in Stelbred, but not
He's
today.
a very busy boy. He's
Yeah.
a very busy
We've
boy.
still got to play A Dog's Life for the PS2.
We do.
Yeah, we
it's,
do.
It's
I-
sitting on my shelf, and we're gonna have such the best time with it.
I saw the ending of that game the other day randomly on Instagram. Yeah, that game's really fucking weird.
It's bizarre.
Anyway, I will say it is possible, and certainly if we do a retrospective of some of the episodes we've covered, I may change my mind on Midnight, but at the moment I'm going to stick to a 9.
Yeah, I think I used to have not so high an opinion of it, but that might have just been because I was less willing to cope with horror elements in general. Like I was a lot more thin-skinned back when I watched this for the first time. And I think my opinion of it has gone up with time and repeat viewings, more because I've noticed more things about the supporting cast, the extra layers, the this and that. My Doctor Who knowledge is a lot more superior now, so I can see the the twisting of the tropes a bit more. But yeah, so that might happen to you, Fitz. We'll see. But next time on the show, we will be reviewing the Fourth Doctor story, The Stones of Blood.
Which is really fun, Hadley. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
We'll
I like
get
this
to it.
episode.
We'll get to it.
But until then, I'm Alex.
I'm Fitz.
I'm Sam.
And I'm Hadley. Molto bene.
Allons-y.
Fuck you.
Fuck you.
Fuck you, Cuff.
What?
Fuck.